I'm Max Lowe, photographer, director, venture storyteller. Isaac, my youngest brother, graduated from Western Washington here in Bellingham digitally. We came up with this idea to come back out here to where he went to school and to where he spent the last 4 or 5 years of his life exploring and do a little trip together.
When I realized at the end of my college career it'd be anything but normal, that's really when the pandemic hit me. Finishing my design classes via Zoom and watching our commencement speech alone in my apartment, it kind of felt like a dead end in a way.
It's the first time you've been on campus since you graduated?
Yeah.
Feel foreign to you already?
Sort of felt foreign, even in my last quarter online, not being able to come up here.
I guess the first piece of advice, take advice from other people with a grain of salt, because really I think you know best what's good for you and what you really want to do. I think it's good to take some time to develop your skills. To me, if you have the interest and the passion to do things, I think you'll figure out ways to make it as a career.
I think that any person graduating from college is, at least in some regard, at a loss to what they should do with their life. I can remember that feeling of being scared. But the more you do, the more base of knowledge you have to figure out what you actually like and what you're good at. It's when you're stagnant that you start to drown. Don't be paralyzed by fear of failure.
Coming on this trip with Max and having him share some of the excitement he finds in photography and exploring this place that I spent so much of my time the last 5 years has sort of felt like a deep breath. Mixing the illustration and design skills I've learned with his passion for photography has been a much needed creative boost. It's been fun to see how Max and I see the same things in different ways. Myself via pen and paper and him through his lens. I was up at Western.
Oh, you were at Western? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
The last 5 years.
Yeah. I actually teach at a college. And I always tell students, I said, you got to have a twin track strategy. You got to think about your subsistence base, but you've also got to think about what you love to do.
Yeah.
You know? And so you got to, it's a dance between those two things. Give yourself enough space that you can kind of listen to yourself.
I'm definitely still finding my way and probably will be for some time, but stepping back into a place that has felt like home gives me a certain assurance that I hadn't had before. And I think each individual challenge feels vast in the moment, but with enough time and changing perspective, you realize these things make up who you are. I just feel lucky to have people in my life to show me that.
I think that sometimes you project what you want onto the people you love, and something that I try not to do with Isaac, but I want him to achieve his dreams, as cheesy as it is, and helping him find out what those dreams are in the meantime is kind of what I'm trying to do via trips like this.